My name is Maya Mitchell, and for 28 years, I've been the family disappointment. Not because I failed at anything, but because I refused to perform success the way my family demanded. My brother Jason is 3 years older than me. Growing up, he was everything our parents wanted. Charismatic, ambitious, loud about his achievements. He went to State University on a partial scholarship, joined the fraternity, networked aggressively, and landed a sales job at a tech company right out of college. I went to community college, lived at home, took online classes while working nights at a grocery store. My parents barely acknowledged my graduation. Community college, my mother would say, her nose wrinkling. I tell people you're taking a gap year. Jason started Mitchell Tech Solutions when he was 26. A software consulting firm that helped mid-sized businesses with their digital infrastructure. He was good at sales, good at making connections, good at making everything look bigger than it was. Our parents treated him like he'd cured cancer. Your brother is doing such important work, Dad would say at every family dinner. Real business. Real impact. They bought him a luxury sedan for his first major contract. Threw him a party when he signed his 10th client. Posted about his success constantly on Facebook. Meanwhile, I worked quietly. I'd started doing freelance data analysis on the side. Nothing glamorous, just helping small businesses make sense of their numbers. I was good with patterns, good with spreadsheets, good with seeing what others missed. I saved everything I earned. Invested carefully. Lived in a modest apartment. Drove a 12-year-old Honda. When are you going to do something with your life? My mother asked at least once a month. What they didn't know, what I never told them, was that by the time I was 25, I'd built a portfolio worth $1.8 million. By 27, it was $4.2 million. I'd invested in early-stage tech companies, real estate partnerships, and a few strategic private equity positions. One of those positions was Mitchell Tech Solutions. Jason had needed capital 18 months earlier. His business was growing, but he was overextended. He needed $3.1 million to secure a major contract that would take him to the next level. He'd approached several investors. Most passed. The terms weren't great, and Jason's financials were shakier than he let on publicly. I invested through a shell LLC. Anonymous funding. Market rate terms. Professional documentation. Jason never knew his embarrassing little sister was the reason his company survived. I did it because, despite everything, he was still my brother. I believed in the work he was doing. I thought maybe someday we'd have a relationship that didn't revolve around his need to feel superior. I was wrong. The wedding invitation came 4 months ago. Elegant cardstock, expensive printing. Jason Mitchell and Victoria Ashworth request the pleasure of your company. Victoria was exactly the kind of woman my family worshipped. Law degree from a prestigious school. Family money. Connections to everyone who mattered in our city's social scene. I'd met her twice. Both times she looked through me like I was part of the furniture. My mother called the day after I received the invitation. You'll need to buy an appropriate dress, she said. Victoria's family is very particular about appearances. Nothing too cheap-looking. I'll find something nice, I said. And maybe do something with your hair? Victoria's having a very sophisticated wedding. We don't want you to stick out. I bought a simple navy dress. Classic, well-made, appropriate. Cost $300, which was more than I usually spent on clothing, but I wanted to make an effort. The wedding was beautiful. Riverside venue, string quartet, hundreds of white roses. Victoria looked stunning. Jason looked proud. I sat in the back with distant cousins. My parents were at the head table with the wedding party. During the ceremony, I watched Jason promise to love, honor, and cherish Victoria. I wondered if he'd ever actually loved anyone besides himself, but I pushed the thought away. Maybe Victoria was different. Maybe she saw something in him I couldn't. The reception was held in the venue's ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, seated dinner, open bar. I was placed at table 14, far from the family tables. I didn't mind. I congratulated Jason and Victoria in the receiving line, then found my seat and settled in to watch everyone enjoy themselves. Dinner was salmon or beef. I chose the salmon. Made polite conversation with the woman next to me, someone's aunt from Victoria's side. Then came the toast. The best man went first. Typical stories about Jason being a legend, a genius, destined for greatness. Everyone applauded. Victoria's father spoke next. praised Jason's business acumen, his drive, his promising future. Welcomed him to their family. Then my father stood up. I hadn't realized he was giving a toast. My mother must have arranged it. I'm so proud of my son, Dad began. Jason has always been exceptional. A natural leader. A born entrepreneur. He went on for 3 minutes about Jason's achievements. The business he'd built. The success he'd earned. The bright future ahead. He never mentioned me. Not once. Not even a generic "we're proud of both our children." Just Jason, Jason, Jason. I kept my face neutral. I'd learned that skill years ago. After dinner, as the dancing started, I stayed at my table. Watched the newlyweds have their first dance. Watched my parents glow with pride. Then Jason approached my table. He was drunk. Not falling down drunk, but loose, loud drunk. His groomsmen were with him. College friends I'd met a handful of times over the years. "Hiya," he announced, his voice carrying across nearby tables. "My little sister. Still sitting alone, I see." I smiled. "Congratulations, Jason. Beautiful wedding." "Yeah, Victoria spared no expense." He gestured broadly at the room. "This is what success looks like, Maya. Real success." His groomsmen laughed. A few people at neighboring tables glanced over. "It's very nice," I said evenly. "You know what's funny?" Jason leaned against my table. "Mom told me you came in that dress. $300. I checked the tag when you hung your purse." He shook his head. $300. Victoria's shoes cost more than that. "I'm sure they're lovely shoes," I said. "You're the embarrassing one in this family," Jason announced, his voice louder now. Several more tables were watching. "Living your sad little life. Working your sad little job. While I'm building an empire." His groomsmen laughed harder. One of them, Brad I think, said, "Dude, not cool." But Jason was on a roll. "What do you even do, Maya? Data entry? Is that what you're still doing?" "Something like that," I said quietly. "Something like that," he mimicked. "Meanwhile, I just closed a $7 million contract. $7 million. Do you even comprehend numbers that big?" I looked at him. Really looked at him. This was my brother. The person I'd protected. The person I'd believed in when other investors wouldn't. "Congratulations on your marriage, Jason," I said again. I pulled out my phone. Opened my encrypted messaging app. Sent a message to my wealth manager. "Withdraw all funding from Mitchell Tech Solutions. Effective immediately. Activate the acceleration clause." I hit send. 15 seconds later, Jason's phone started binging. At first he ignored it. Still laughing with his groomsmen about something else he'd said. But the binging continued. Message after message. He pulled out his phone. Looked at the screen. His face changed. "What the hell?" he muttered. More messages. Then his phone actually rang. He looked at the caller ID and his face went pale. "I need to take this," he said to his groomsmen and walked quickly toward the venue's lobby. Brad looked at me. "What just happened?" "I have no idea," I said, taking a sip of my water. But I knew exactly what happened. Mitchell Tech Solutions had a very specific funding agreement. The anonymous investor, me, had an acceleration clause. If triggered, all outstanding capital could be called back within 72 hours. The $3.1 million wasn't a loan, technically. It was structured as a convertible note with a 5-year term. But the acceleration clause allowed for immediate repayment under specific conditions. Conditions I just activated. Jason would need to return $3.1 million in 3 days, or I would convert my note to equity at a significant discount, giving me 51% ownership of his company. I'd written the terms myself. Had them reviewed by 3 different attorneys. Jason's lawyer had reviewed them too, but Jason had been desperate for the money and signed anyway. Victoria appeared at my table 5 minutes later. "Where's Jason?" she asked. "He took a phone call," I said. "Something about business." She looked irritated but nodded and walked away. I stayed for another hour. Watched people dance. Ate a slice of the $8,000 wedding cake. Congratulated a few relatives I rarely saw. Then I left quietly. Said goodbye to no one. Drove my 12-year-old Honda back to my modest apartment. At home, I changed into comfortable clothes and checked my email. My wealth manager had confirmed the withdrawal notice. Mitchell Tech Solutions had been officially notified. Jason had 72 hours to respond. I made tea and sat on my balcony. My phone rang 20 minutes later. What did you do? He demanded. I don't know what you're talking about, I said calmly. Don't play games. My investor just pulled out. All of it. 3.1 million. I know you did something. Jason, I don't invest in tech companies. You know that. Then who? Who would do this at my wedding? I have no idea. Maybe someone who doesn't appreciate being publicly humiliated. Silence on his end. I never humiliated anyone, he said finally. You called me an embarrassment in front of 200 people, I said quietly. You mocked my job, my clothes, my life. At your wedding reception. I was drunk. I was joking. Were you? More silence. I need that money, Maya. The contract depends on it. If I can't fulfill the terms, I lose everything. Then I suggest you find $3.1 million in the next 72 hours. I can't. You know I can't. Everything's tied up in the business. That's unfortunate. Maya, please. Whatever this is, whoever you know, please. I took a breath. Goodbye, Jason. Congratulations again on your marriage. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. Text messages started coming through. Maya, please. This is my life. You don't understand. I'll lose everything. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning I woke to 43 missed calls. Jason, my mother, my father, Victoria, even Victoria's father. I made coffee and checked my secure email. My wealth manager confirmed everything was proceeding according to the contract terms. I turned my phone back on. It immediately rang. My mother. Maya, what have you done? She demanded. Good morning, Mom. Jason is devastated. He says you sabotaged him. His investor pulled out the night of his wedding. I didn't sabotage anyone. Then fix it. Call whoever you know. Jason needs help. Why would I know anything about Jason's investor? Because this is too convenient. The same night she trailed off. The same night he publicly called me an embarrassment? He was drunk. You know how he gets. I do know how he gets, I said. I've known for 28 years. Maya, please. He's your brother. Is he? Because he's never treated me like a sister. I hung up. My father called next. Same conversation, different voice. Victoria's father called. Threatened legal action if I was somehow involved in Jason's investor problems. I told him to have his attorneys contact my attorneys. Gave him my lawyer's number. He sputtered and hung up. On day 2, Jason showed up at my apartment. I'd been expecting this. Didn't answer the door. He knocked for 10 minutes. Then called my phone from the hallway. Maya, I know you're in there. Please. I'll apologize. I'll do whatever you want. Just please help me. I didn't answer. He left eventually. That evening my mother tried a different approach. Sent a long email about family, about forgiveness, about how we needed to support each other. I didn't respond. On day 3, 71 hours after I'd sent the withdrawal notice, Jason's attorney called mine. They wanted to negotiate. My client is prepared to issue a public apology, his attorney said, and offer financial compensation for any distress caused. My attorney, a sharp woman named Rebecca Chin who specialized in private equity, listened patiently. My client's position is clear, Rebecca said. The contract terms are being enforced as written. Mr. Mitchell has 1 hour to wire $3.1 million, or the note converts to equity per the acceleration clause. That would give your client majority control. Yes. That's not reasonable. It's contractual. Jason's attorney tried several more arguments. Rebecca shut down each one. 59 minutes later, no wire transfer had arrived. At the 60-minute mark, Rebecca filed the equity conversion paperwork. I now owned 51% of Mitchell Tech Solutions. My phone exploded. Calls, texts, voicemails. I ignored all of them. The next morning, I had Rebecca send a formal letter to Jason and the company's board. As majority shareholder, I was exercising my right to call an emergency board meeting. Agenda: company leadership and strategic direction. The meeting was scheduled for the following Monday. I spent the weekend reviewing every piece of Mitchell Tech Solutions financials. Every contract, every client relationship, every expense report. Jason was good at sales but terrible at operations. The company was bleeding money in a dozen small ways. Overpriced vendors, inefficient processes, questionable expense reports that looked suspiciously like personal spending. I made notes. Monday morning I arrived at Mitchell Tech Solutions office. Small but nice space in a downtown business complex. Glass doors, modern furniture, motivational posters. The receptionist looked confused when I introduced myself. "I don't have you on the calendar," she said. "Check with the board," I said. "Emergency meeting. Conference room." She made a call. Her eyes widened. "Oh, yes. Right this way." The conference room held 6 people. Jason, 2 board members who were basically his friends, the company's CFO and Jason's attorney. I sat down. Rebecca sat beside me. "What is this?" Jason demanded. "A board meeting," I said calmly. "As majority shareholder, I'm entitled to call them. You can't just take over my company." "I didn't take over anything. I enforced the contract you signed." The CFO, a nervous man named Martin, cleared his throat. "Ms. Mitchell, perhaps we could discuss a buyback arrangement?" "With what money?" I asked. "Your cash reserves are $180,000. You have $890,000 in outstanding payables. 3 clients are 60 days past due on their invoicing." Martin's face went pale. "How do you?" "I've reviewed the financials. All of them. As majority shareholder, I have that right." Jason stood up. "You have no right to any of this. This is my company." I said quietly. "It was your company. Now I own 51%. I built this from nothing. You built it with $3.1 million of my money." The room went silent. "Your money." Jason stared at me. "My money? You're the investor?" "I'm the investor." He sank back into his chair. "You." "Me." "But, you work data entry. I work private equity. I have for 7 years. My portfolio is worth $4.2 million. Mitchell Tech Solutions was one of several investments." My mother's voice came from the doorway. "That's impossible." I turned. My parents were standing there. The receptionist behind them looked apologetic. "They said they were family," she said helplessly. "It's fine," I told her. My father stepped into the room. "Maya, what is she talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that I've been Jason's anonymous investor for 18 months. The money that saved his company, that funded his big contract, that paid for his success. It was mine." My mother shook her head. "You don't have that kind of money." "I do. I also have investments in 7 other companies, a real estate portfolio worth $1.8 million, and a venture capital fund that I manage for 3 other private clients." That's not possible," my father said. "It's very possible. I'm just quiet about it. Unlike some people." Jason was staring at his hands. "You invested in me?" "I did." "Why?" "Because you're my brother. Because I believed in the work you were doing. Because I wanted to help." "Then why pull out now?" I looked at him. "Because you called me an embarrassment. At your wedding. In front of 200 people. Because you've spent your entire life making me feel small so you could feel big. Because I realized I was funding someone who had nothing but contempt for me." The room was silent. "I'm sorry," Jason said finally. "I was drunk. I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did. You always mean it. This is who you've always been." My mother spoke up. "Maya, we didn't know. If we'd known about your success, we would have." "Would have what?" I interrupted. "Been proud of me, acknowledged me, treated me like I mattered." She didn't answer. "The only thing that's changed is now you know I'm not embarrassing. But I was the same person last week. The same person for 28 years. The only difference is now my success is visible." I stood up. "I'm not here to punish anyone. I'm here to make a business decision." I looked at Jason. "Mitchell Tech Solutions has potential. But it's poorly managed. You're good at sales, Jason. You're terrible at everything else. So here's my offer. You stay on as VP of sales. Salary plus commission. I bring in real management. Real operations. We fix this company. And if I refuse? Then I fire you and do it anyway. I own 51%. I can remove you from any position I want." Jason looked at his attorney. The attorney shook his head slightly. No legal recourse. So I have no choice, Jason said. You have a choice. Work with me and rebuild this company the right way. Or walk away and I'll do it without you. He stared at me for a long moment. VP of Sales? It's what you're good at. Let other people handle what they're good at. And you? I'm good at seeing patterns. At strategy. At making smart investments and knowing when to cut losses. He nodded slowly. Okay. Hey. I'll do it. I turned to my parents. As for you too, I'm done performing for your approval. I'm successful. I have been for years. Whether you acknowledge it or not doesn't change that. My mother opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. We're proud of you, Maya. Now you are. Now that it's worth something to you. That's not fair, my father said. Isn't it? Jason started a company, you threw him parties. I built a $4 million portfolio. You didn't notice I existed. The only thing that changed is now you can brag about me to your friends. Neither of them answered. I picked up my bag. I have another meeting. Rebecca will send over the restructuring documents, Jason. Sign them by Friday. I walked out. In the parking lot, Rebecca caught up with me. That was impressive, she said. Was it? Most people would have burned it all down. I thought about it. But the company actually is promising. And underneath everything, Jason isn't a bad person. He's just... I searched for the word. Insecure. Insecure people can be the cruelest. I know. I drove back to my modest apartment. I sat on my balcony. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Thank you for not destroying me. I know I deserved it. I stared at it for a long time. Then typed back. You're my brother. I don't want to destroy you. I want you to be better. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I'll try. It wasn't much. But it was something. 6 months later, Mitchell Tech Solutions had a real CFO, streamlined operations, and was actually profitable. Jason focused on what he was good at, charming clients and closing deals. The company thrived. My parents slowly, very slowly, adjusted to the reality that their embarrassing daughter was more successful than they'd ever imagined. They tried to brag. I shut it down every time. I'm the same person I was before you knew, I'd remind them. Whether you're proud or not doesn't change who I am. Victoria divorced Jason after 8 months. Turned out she'd married him for the image of success, and when that image cracked, she lost interest. Jason took it hard. Called me one night, drunk and crying. I lost everything, he said. No, I told him. You lost someone who never valued you for who you actually are. That's not everything. That's nothing. He showed up at my apartment the next day. Sober. Carrying coffee. Can we talk? He asked. Sure. We sat on my balcony. Drank coffee. Watched the city move below us. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. For all of it. For every time I made you feel small. For the wedding. For all of it. Okay. Is that it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Jason? That it's fine? It's not fine. You hurt me for years. You made me feel worthless. That doesn't just disappear because you apologized. I know. But I want to do better. I want to be better. I looked at him. Then be better. Not for me. Not for Mom and Dad. For yourself. He nodded. I'm trying. I know. We sat in silence for a while. Your apartment is nice, he said finally. Small but nice. I like it. You could afford something bigger. Much bigger. I know. But I don't need it. This is enough. He smiled. You're weird. Yeah. I am. I think that's okay. It is okay. We finished our coffee. Jason left. But he came back the next week. And the week after that. Slowly, very slowly, we built something that actually resembled a sibling relationship. Not the one I'd always wanted. But something real. Something honest. I never moved to a bigger apartment. Never bought a luxury car. Never posted about my success on social media. I just kept doing what I'd always done. Seeing patterns, making smart investments, building something solid and real. And I learned that the only validation that matters is your own. Everything else is just noise.